Hey, it's Dr. Pundit. I'm Michael Douglas, where we talk about music, not medicine. And this is another line items. This one is going down the classic rock route. And this just makes me feel extremely old because one of these titles came out when I was in medical school. But again, that was over 30 years ago. And we'll get to it, I guess. You know, a song needs to be in the right place and heard at the right time to be a hit, right? If anything is off about the release, it could easily fail to chart. Okay. And that was the case for three classic rock tracks, two released in the 1970s, one in the early 1990s, that failed to ignite right out of the box. And they really didn't become hits until obviously after their initial release, with the song released in 1979 becoming a major hit in the mid 80s, if you can believe that. So, Creep, Radiohead. Okay. Radiohead, it's no surprise that this band grew sick of this song and stopped playing it years after it became a hit at most of their shows. And while many of us might be suffering from the fatigue of Creep, especially those who listen to a lot of later classic rock era stations that played material from the late 80s to the late 90s, yeah, this song is pretty much omnipresent on those same airwaves. But it's kind of one of those things that's a mixed blessing because I don't think a lot of people would really have gelled on to the band Radiohead if it really wasn't for that song, Creep. Now, upon its release in 1992, radio play was really scant, and programmers felt that the public wasn't ready for such a really heartbreaking song, okay, for those who are familiar with the lyricism of the song. Despite this, it was re-released in 1993 from the LP Pablo Honey, and it got that way because it achieved success in countries like Israel, the Middle East, believe it or not. It was a big breakout for this song. Re-released here in the United States, quickly rose up the charts, becoming Radiohead's still most recognizable hit.
And I'm a creep. I'm a widow. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here.
Now, this next track is a song that I talked about earlier in the show that was re-released in the mid-1980s after being released in 1979. And this is the prototypical song that is way ahead of its time. And it just failed to connect with any audiences when it was released. And you could probably point to a lot of factors. I would think that the biggest factor would be the fact that it was released at the peak, the apotheosis of disco in this country. The spring and summer of 1979 are notorious for when disco just basically reached peak saturation in this country and was a big catalyst for the big protest that was done at a White Sox game. Just Google it, in 1979, sponsored by a classic rock DJ who just simply had enough of disco. And people point to that episode as the gradual decline. Well, just before that episode, The Cure released Boys Don't Cry in May of 1979. I always thought, because I never heard this song until I was in college, I started in 1986, and it was everywhere. 7 years was a great hiatus for this song, and it quickly became a hit upon re-release in 1985, and it is a calling card of the band.
I try to laugh about it, cover it all up with lies. I try to laugh about it, hiding my tears in my eyes, 'cause boys don't cry. Boys don't cry.
Okay, this last track is by Aerosmith, Dream On, and it was re-released 50 years ago, but it wasn't the initial release for this song. It came out a few years earlier, but failed to connect with audiences. And, by the time it was re-released, it became a big breakout hit. And of course, when I started listening to classic rock radio, 10, 12 years later, it was pretty much cemented. But Steven Tyler famously felt that this song was way too slow to be part of any Aerosmith set list, and it just didn't connect. Re-released in 1975, the re-release of this song saw this song, Dream On, rise to its proper place in this band's legacy.
Sing with me, sing for the year, sing for the laugh and sing for the tear. Sing with me, just for today, maybe tomorrow the good Lord will take you
So there you have it, Creep by Radiohead, Boys Don't Cry by The Cure, and Dream On by Aerosmith. 3 classic rock initial flops that hit it big the second time around. I'm Michael Douglas, and if you like what you see here on the channel, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And until next time, as the late great Barry White always used to say, let the music play, and I'll see you on the next episode.